Good to have you with us here today. This is In Real Time. I'm Costa Maragos. Well, make sure you drive safe as we're into the holiday season, of course. But this is all about a no-party season this year for obvious reasons. But police are still out there looking for those bad drivers. Constable Jim Monaghan is with the Regina Police Services Traffic Safety Unit. He is on shift right now when he's joining us. Hello, Constable Monaghan.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
You've been on shift for a few hours. What has it been like so far?
Relatively quiet now. There's a few of us out in the traffic section getting at it already.
Well, that's always good. What has it been like these days for you as far as monitoring the traffic out there from your point of view?
Pretty much regular duties. The driving is driving. In particular, the roads are icier now when winter comes along, but if in regards to pandemic or stuff like that, it's enforcement as usual, and the traffic safety is important. Christmas season, impaired driving stuff, so it's business as usual.
Well, of course, there's always the awareness campaigns about impaired driving over the holiday season. What's different about this year, given what's going on out there?
Yeah, this year, I suppose impaired driving will always happen. We're always hoping it never happens, but I suppose the lack of numerous Christmas parties this year may slow down impaired driving. That's yet to be seen, but we're still going to be out there full force. We've got check stops set up. We've had a few already. Some are going to be stealth, and some won't be. You won't know they're coming, and we always looking for them. And as you mentioned earlier, the cannabis consumption falls right along into that, and it can be tested roadside now.
Well, I mentioned that just before we started the interview. I'd like to know what is it with cannabis as far as detection goes when you stop someone? Like how often does that happen when you suspect someone high on cannabis and driving?
Right. Usually it would follow the form of either direct complaint or you just approaching the vehicle. We have all been old enough now. We know the smell of cannabis, and people think they can hide it with softener sheets or the green trees that hang from your mirrors, but it's so strong. And if you're with someone that smokes it all the time, you probably don't know the smells on you all the time. And nowadays, with the road safety and the criminal codes changed and case law has been set, if you're driving a vehicle, you're able to be tested, whether that's for alcohol or cannabis, for any kind of field sobriety test. It's pretty much standard now that if you're driving, you're aware that you can be pulled over and tested for such things.
Oh, well, I know there's a mention on your Twitter feed. It's a very popular one, RPS Traffic Unit, and in there is a reference to a cannabis stop. That you did this cannabis oral fluid test that you mentioned earlier. How does that work?
Unfortunately, I myself don't use it right now, but we have people in our section on all the time that can run the instrument. It's called a Sotoxa, and it basically is just an oral fluid test, and it's done roadside, much like an approved screening device. But you blow into that one. This one is an oral fluid test that's done, and it only takes 10 minutes roadside, and apparently it's very accurate, and it's available to us at any time. And I think people just need to be more aware that like the campaigns are going, one joint, one beer, like cannabis is impairing as alcohol is, and I hope we don't get away from that understanding that it's just as serious and it'll impair your driving just as much.
And what is the reaction of someone that you have seen who has been suspected of driving high on cannabis and they get this test done? What's the reaction you see from these people, these drivers?
Right. I suppose. I mean, everybody's going to act surprised, and you ask somebody how much they've consumed, and the standard answer is a couple, and that doesn't matter if it's alcohol or marijuana. So, and but it's in their system, and they obviously we're used to being lied to. we kind of take that in a stride, and we're not offended by it, but they'll generally be surprised, and they're usually cooperative. I suppose that's the only good thing different between alcohol and cannabis is the cannabis consumption is generally mellows a person. Certainly not experienced myself. I don't know that for sure, but in my experience over the history it seems to be more of a mellowing drug, but it's still dangerous to consume it. And when the test I was describing of the Sotoxa, if they fail it, that's considered just like failing a roadside approved screening device. Under the Criminal Code of Canada, you can then be taken down to the police station and tested even further and charged criminally.
I mentioned the Twitter feed. It's very popular. It has almost 10,000 followers, which I think is a pretty big deal in Regina. What does this kind of outreach, because you do post photos of people parked on the side after being caught speeding. You don't put their license plates on them, you blur those out, but you try to be discreet that way. But what does that do for getting the message out there for safe driving, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's a really good following, and it's good to see. And I don't know if it could be the enforcement, entertainment, education. I hope it's all of the above. I'm sure people get different things from it. I try to keep it light, try to keep it fun, not so serious. I mean, I do the best job in the world, and I try and bring that out in the twittering. I took it over from another member last year. This is my first year doing it, so it's like teaching an old dog new tricks. When it comes to Twitter and Facebook and all that, I'm not very. I'm learning all the ins and outs as I go. What a GIF is.
Well, you're getting there. I thought it's a very good read, and there are, of course, serious matters with traffic, of course. So, what's your message out there to people as we approach this holiday season, as far as driving goes?
Yes, enforcement as usual. There's, like I say, they're still doing check stops. The impaired and drive while high, I mean, we're going to be out looking for all those, and we're hoping people understand they're both as serious as the other, and we may see a drop in numbers because of the lack of parties, but there's always a chance, and unfortunately I've been here at RPS long enough to know that there's going to be something that happens, and there's always a collision, and hopefully through the Twitter account and all that, you can educate people. And I always send out little messages, reminders, no U-turn in a school zone. I've done here and there, and like you say, I do tweets of the car after I pulled over, and if it's something kind of humorous that happened during the call or what the person said, there's no harm in that, and I'm glad people follow it and like it.
Well, safe driving, and I hope you have the rest of your shift goes uneventful. And thank you very much for taking the time from your busy day to chat with us. All the best and a happy holiday season to you.
Yes, thank you. Happy holidays to you as well.
Thank you.